is we have the choice in our lives to make that choice. Do I want to let this person affect me? Absolutely not, right? Yeah. Absolutely not. And the universe will always work in your favor when you do good by people. It works in your favor, right? So I always say, like, let the universe speak for itself.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
All right, this is Real Talk with Carmen Costa. I always want to say, what was our old phrase? This is us. This is us. I thought that was a good, that was a good podcast that we had back in the day.
We can mix it. We can say, this is us real talking.
Real talk? No, that's horrible.
That's bad. No,
that's funny.
No.
Anyways, today I wanted to cover, because it's been an intense week. It was my dad's birthday yesterday. It's been 3 years, which is kind of crazy because I did this, and I'm the worst with numbers. The worst. I'll do this. Wasn't daddy like 72? And my mom's like, no, he was 74. He would have been 77. I'm like, whoa, really? Like, I'm horrible with numbers. So, I want to talk a little bit about, and it's important that, we don't lose sight and we don't get lost in our emotions, right? And I'm getting to a point here, right? Like there's a point to all of this.
We're waiting.
I know you're like, We're
waiting.
So here's what I'm saying. Like, we always react to how people act, right? And then we say this, oh, Jamie, you hurt me. Why did you hurt me? But the truth is I gave Jamie the power saying that to him, saying, Jamie, you hurt me, right? Because in all actuality, Jamie can pull a jackass move and try to hurt me. But the truth is I, in control of my feelings, in control of my being, have a right to respond to that if I want, right? I can also just turn around and be like, what a jackass. And it legitimately doesn't affect me, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. So, I thought I was on point with, my dad's passing. I honestly thought I was on point. I'm like, oh, I'm okay. This is the 3rd year. I'm okay. But yesterday I woke up and, I was emotional, right? So I'm like, okay, clearly year 3, I'm not, and then a couple of things happened. And I always say this, when your vibration gets lowered, right? Things happen. And I'm always like, it always happens when my vibration gets low, like emotionally, emotional. But things happen. So a situation happened yesterday. It made me realize, and I was so grateful this morning in my gratitude, because, all this stuff that's happened in the last 4 months, I always questioned it. I'm like, was it meant to be? Was I meant to go off on my own? Was this, and then yesterday this situation happened, and you see people's true colors, and then all of a sudden life makes so much sense. And the gratitude you hold in your heart, you're like, oh my God, they're behind me for a reason, because I'm not that vibration. But I always find it funny. And I know I made mention on the chat. You're on that chat. So
yeah, I saw
I made mention on the chat, just asking and questioning myself as a leader, right? I was like, because somebody came at me, they said something, and I was like, really? And then Zervain's perspective was really smart, because Zervain's like, I used to be like that. I was that narcissist that would make you feel like you were the one at fault, but you're not, right? You do that as a manipulation tactic. And I like looking at Zervain and knowing how much he's grown. I was like, I can't believe you're admitting to this. He's like, oh, no. I know that jackass move. I did it. I used to do it. I was like king of that jackass move, right? And Zervain's worked so much on himself, and he's been amazing that as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my God, Zervain, thank you. Thank you for the perspective, because it made me realize that, oh my God, yes, this was right. So that little doubt that I had that maybe this is not disappeared yesterday. And this morning, I woke up with such gratitude in my heart, thinking, thank you for making me who I am today and aligning me with the right people. And I don't even have to question it, because the truth always comes out, right? Because I swear to you, I would have, like, Zervain's my indicator. He'll meet people and he'll be like, something's off with that person. Something is bugging me. And I'm like, no, because I'm all about love and light. I'm like, no. They're perfect, man. They're awesome. And then 6 months or a year down the road, something happens and he's like, told you. And I'm like, wow, I wish I had that filter where I could actually see that.
And that's
right?
very strange because you're really good with people, but there's that other side of you that you want to believe.
I care. I
that
always
people-
believe.
yeah.
And I care so much for an individual that yesterday, when somebody had said, what they said, I was like, what? Like, I don't even remember. It was something along the lines of, you don't back up your agents. You're a weak person. And I'm like, what? But at first, because you had so much respect for this person that you actually thought like for a split second, and then reality hits and my husband came, he's like, jackass move. Used to do it all the time. Yeah. Oh my God, don't let that. And then I realized, I'm like, everybody deals with this. We have the choice in our lives to make that choice. Do I want to let this person affect me? Absolutely not. Right? Yeah. Absolutely not. And the universe will always work in your favor when you do good by people. It works in your favor, right? So I always say, like, let the universe speak for itself, right? Because nothing is hidden, right? Like today, we always try to do this, Jamie, and I know you're like me. That person needs to be served justice. Whoa, They need to be, right? You sit there and you're like, they need to be served justice. But the truth is, I'm not that person. I'm more like, yes, I get angry right up front, but then I pray about it. And I'm like this morning, I prayed about it and I was like, apologizing to myself for allowing that to happen to me, and I apologize. There's, there's this saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, to me, because I let that happen because I'm better than that, right? I work on myself every day. I'm up 4:30 meditating, trying to work on myself to be the best person for my agent. But I was telling Zervain today, I'm like, I'm so at peace, and it's weird. Like before, I'd be like rattled and like, you know what I mean. But
yeah.
With age and like with all that's happened since the fast, I'm not even kidding you. It was like nothing reacts. Like I don't react to things. I think I just get disappointed in people. That's what it is. It's disappointed.
And that's, I've been there, and I'm at a point in my life where I start off by saying, you know what, I'm always expecting right away, right from the get-go, to be disappointed. So when it happens, it doesn't affect me as much. So I don't take it as serious. Before I used to take it so seriously. Like when I met someone,
that
I
was
was
me.
like,
I know.
And now I'm like, I'll meet someone and I'll be as nice as I can, and I'll be me, right?
For sure.
And then I'll let life kind of do its thing.
You're
and
right.
The true colors, it's what you said. They bubble up.
They do. They do. But
up.
I'm going to be honest with you. This was one thing, like this individual in particular, like he meant a lot to me. Like it was like a lot. And then I think that was the biggest factor of, the breakup and everything was sad because of this individual. But then yesterday I was relieved. I was like, oh my God, I feel so good about this. Like I can't even express, like it's the weirdest feeling because I guess you expect people to be like, oh, I'm so devastated, the world's end. And I wasn't. I was so happy and so, like I can't. And this morning I woke up, like Serene's like, why are you so happy? Like music and everything, because I'm like, I'm celebrating that the universe has my back. The universe lets me see the truth and what people are. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so blessed that the universe has my back. And that, I'm where I am today. And, I have my team because I care about my team. Like I say that wholeheartedly. I care so much about my team that, you know what I mean? Like I would do anything for them. Like if they're hurt or anything, I would always do everything for them. And when you know your inner truth, what individuals say doesn't matter.
No.
It really doesn't, because I've had it where a lot of people, like even relatives, have said things and I'm like, I don't even question at all relatives, but that's what I'm saying. Like it goes right off your back, and it's one of these where you're mourning that's over because it's meant to be over.
Yeah.
That's what you're mourning. You're not mourning like, oh my God, I'm not mad at that individual. I'm sad for that individual.
Yeah.
That's it, right? I'm sad that that's what they resorted to. And it's like, you know what? It makes sense. And I'm totally perfectly fine. I know you came in, you're like, are you okay? Is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I was caught at the wrong day. It was my dad's birthday. And, right on his birthday was 30 days. We had 30 days and nobody knew. We had 30 days to spend with my father. Today, I'm a lot better. I don't know what it is, but the day of his birth and the day of his death are probably two of the hardest days of my life. And that is where, and had this situation yesterday happened not on my dad's birthday, I would have handled it a lot differently. I would have been like, okay, no problem, sure, yada, yada, right? But it was handled differently because emotionally, and that's why I say to you, it's always key to hold your vibration up because, when people come at you, I'm going to be dead serious with you. When people come at me with like tactics or trying to whatever, it doesn't affect me. And Zareen gets so bothered. He's like, why aren't you bothered? And I'm like, I'm telling you, since my dad's passed and since the fast, it's just like these things are meaninless.
Isn't it crazy
They
how
mean nothing.
how we evolve as humans, like how we look at life experiences differently
100%, yeah.
after we go through some different stages in life. It's so interesting at the same time.
It is. I think, some people lose a parent and they move on and that's okay. Some people lose a parent and their whole life changes because something in them changes. I always say like you become awoken, right? If it for any I think for myself, I do get really attached to, like my parents mean a lot to me. My kids mean a lot to me. My husband means a lot to me. I get attached. So it does affect me when something is wrong with them. Right? Like I always say that, like if they're hurt or I'm an empath as well. And so yesterday we went to, and I wanted to bring this up for anybody, shout out to, I think it's, Zareen's like, you're seriously not going to remember, but I went to the Van Gogh art exhibit.
Oh, I've been meaning to go.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jamie.
Good? All right.
Okay, the whole time I cried. My husband has video of this. But when you're in that room, so I did play hooky yesterday. I was too emotional. I'm like, I shouldn't be going into the office like this. So I said, I want to be with my kids and my husband. There was a church. I was going to say missa, which is church in Portuguese, for my dad at 12:15 at St. Patrick's. I donated a church for him. So I wanted to watch that as well. So we went in the morning. Best experience, and living through Van Gogh's eyes. I want to say he mentally struggled a lot because he saw people's true colors. And I say this to Zareen. I'm like, people mistaken who I am as a person, right? They're like, oh, she's too much and she's this and that and she's that and this and and people talk about me and I'm like, but I don't know that person. I've never they're going to hear a story. And this is something I do before I get to this Van Gogh thing. When somebody's talking to you about somebody, so if they're talking bad, when they leave that room, they're going to talk to another person bad about you.
Yes.
Please don't think you're exempted from that. I worry about people, when somebody comes to me and says, oh, this person said that about you, I'm like, they're talking about you because it's a habit you have. They're talking about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
So I know, when I'm with Jamie, I don't think Jamie's ever talked bad about somebody with
All
me.
the time. Oh.
No, he doesn't. But it's funny because, if you think you're going to be exempted from such person speaking bad about you, it's a joke. It really is. So people get taken back when you tell them things to their face, right? And I always say I'm that person where, I always thought that I had this curse where I could see people's true colors and then people didn't like that. They don't like that. When you call them out or when you talk real or when you're too straightforward.
Yeah, the truth can hurt sometimes,
Fuck,
right?
people hate that. So that's why I'm saying to you, just please, as human beings, be aware that if somebody's talking gossip with you or talking bad about somebody, they're doing the same thing about you. So that I just want to leave that note before I get to this Van Gogh exhibit because the Van Gogh exhibit was one of the most. So we decided to go. I said, Zareen, that morning, it was 9 o'clock. I'm like, hey, let's go to the 10 o'clock exhibit. So I take my kids and I'm like, okay, we're going to go in. So my daughter's all about art. My daughter she was blown away. So you're in this room for 40 minutes and in that room, all his paintings come in and out. And there's quotes. I'm all about quotes. So positive quotes. I'm getting goosebumps. And the whole time I'm in there, I'm extremely emotional because I'm an empath and I feel Van Gogh as his paintings come up. And I love, and I said this to Zervain, one thing I missed in life, and I'm going to start doing it, is music, art. That's me, right? I'm all about that. I love music. My daughter is like me because she can like sing a song after she hears it a couple of times. She knows the words. I'm like, whoa. But I used to be like that. I'm still like that, where I just hum tunes, right? And she does the same thing. She's all about art. So this Van Gogh exhibit, you're in this room, and the whole time it's just changing. And I'll have Zervain send you, not the one that I'm crying, but the whole time I was emotional, and Zervain's like, oh, is it because of your dad? And it wasn't because of my dad. It was the intense, like, the intensity, because every time a quote came up, it would bring up that his frame of mind of that paintings. Mm-hmm. Where was his frame of mind in that paintings, right? So if you know about Van Gogh's life, he struggled with mental illness. That was huge. That was one of his biggest things. But I related to him because in one of his things, he's like, life is hard when you see people's true colors.
Yeah.
It's hard. And I sat there and I started
so
bawling.
much truth to that quote. Yeah.
You have no idea. I was like crying. And Zervain's like, why are you crying? I'm like, I get it, Zervain. Why I struggle so much and people don't get me and people think I'm this and that and blah, blah, blah. It's because I speak the truth when I'm straightforward. I don't lie to people. I tell them to their face. They just don't like it. Yeah. So they create their own stories around whatever situation and they go on, right? But my thing is with Van Gogh, you have, like, if you take Anna, take your kids.
No, absolutely,
you know?
No.
But my kids loved it. So my son, after 20 minutes, he's like, I want to go. But Zendaya, you should have seen her, like, for a 5-year-old, she just around the room and she's like, Mommy, did you see that color? Did you see how he did the birds? Did you see how, and like his paintings are gorgeous. Like, so yeah. Best experience of my life. It was an hour long. They only allow you for an hour. But when we first got there, we were in that room half an hour by ourselves before it got jammed. And the lady came in, one of the security guards, and she said, you guys are so lucky that you have this whole room to yourselves. And it was the best experience. Like, and my husband acted like a kid the whole time. And my son kept telling him, Daddy, that's very ignorant. You shouldn't be talking like that about his paintings, right? My husband was joking around with the kids, but he's such a great dad. But it was such a beautiful experience that if you haven't seen the Van Gogh art exhibit, please do. It's in I think it's the Hamilton Convention Center.
Okay.
I'll get the details, but it's beautiful. But
I'll find the details. And
there's one in Toronto, though. So yeah, there's one. Yeah, they just, I saw the exhibit in Toronto. Yeah, it's probably the same thing, I'm guessing.
I'm guessing so. I've had a lot of friends that have gone, and they say they loved it as well.
Oh,
and we've been meaning to go, but, you know, life is complicated.
You know what? Yesterday, I've been meaning to go for like 3 weeks. I've been so busy. We're so blessed. Like, we're just like twofold busy, like crazy busy. All the agents are busy. It's amazing. It's a blessing. And there's so many good things to happen. You know, a lot of announcements April 1st. I'm super excited about it. But we're blessed. Like I always say to Zervain, like I woke up today and he's like, oh, I really thought today was going a different way. And I'm like, you know what? I'm actually happier today than I was yesterday. Just knowing the truth and that everything I did feel, but I questioned was based on a true story. So it's awesome to see. You know, I always say to people out there, and I think the only advice, and I know, Jamie, you've been through this, where I used to worry what people thought about me.
Yep, all the time.
Right? You used to worry. And for the first time in my life, I can legitimately say I don't give a
You know, it's so interesting.
How weird is that? I don't care.
I had that conversation this morning driving my daughter to school, and I told her, I wish I could go back in time to your age
and not care.
And not care about what people are saying. Because when I was her age, she's 17, I used to care about think about everyone.
You're 100% correct, Jamie. That was me.
Yeah.
That was me. Like, I wish I could go back to my younger self and say, it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. No. And I used to worry, like, and for the first time in my life, because you know people are talking, and I'm just like, I see the true colors and I delete. So my new thing is, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I've been purging people off Facebook. I'm like, pew, 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 gone. Because if I think you're not
aligned,
good attention.
right?
No, but it's not even. Listen, you don't have to be aligned. I love people, so.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the best intentions for me, and I feel you're kind of like not the best intentions, you're gonna be deleted off. And it sucks because, you can be an acquaintance, but you don't have to be. I think we used to get like trigger happy, like but that adds bad energy to your fields, right? So.
Yeah.
I've honestly, in the last, I would say 2 weeks, Rain's like, you're out of control. And D's like, you're out of control. And I'm like, no, I want the right people around me. I don't need to be front and center. And I always say this to my agents, I don't need to be, right in the front. I want to be here to support you from behind. You know what I mean? I want to hold you up. That's what I want to do. There's no ego. And I had a conversation where I met, Street City out in London, and he said something to me. He goes, you've changed so much. Your ego is checked at the door. 100% it is. 100% because you know what? Here's the truth. I don't even care anymore. I want other people to succeed around me because their successes are my successes, right? And that makes me happy. You've known me for how long? Am I a dollar person? No. I'm like, you know what? I'm here to make sure everybody around me, that makes me happy. I can go to bed thinking, thank God, everybody around me, my whole team is making money and nobody's left behind, right? I'm not a greedy person. I feel that when you work as a pack, you become a lot more successful. Masses, a lot more successful. But if you're one, narrow-minded, it's going to be hard for you to succeed. But I realized, yesterday, brushing my teeth with my kids walked out, I brushed their teeth, and I was brushing my teeth, and I'm like, oh my God, for the first time in my life, I actually don't give a shit what people think about me.
Yeah.
Where before, I used to obsess over it. I'd be like, oh my God, what does that person think about? What the fuck does that person hold in my life? Nothing. Right?
Yeah.
Why did we waste so many years, Jamie?
I know, and that's exactly why I was telling my daughter. It's like
don't waste years, man.
I only wish I could go back in time, and I'm hoping that by saying this to her, she can realize it quicker.
Yeah.
And I know it's not going to happen right away because at 17, you're always going to be thinking about, oh, I can't wear this hat because people are going to make fun of me or whatever. But I hope that it will click in
eventually
earlier than it's clicked in for me because I was in my
I would
late
say
30s.
It was after. Yeah, no, you're right. Late 30s was exactly for me.
Yeah.
Your late 30s is like 20 years ago, but I'm kidding.
Things I have to put up with.
No, but I just want to say, you know what? This week has honestly, I've elevated to a new level. Life is so good. I feel so blessed. I can't even express. This morning I woke up with so much gratitude in my heart. You always think because you go down and you're like, oh my God, life is so against me. Yeah. But I haven't done that in so long. So I just, for all my team that supports me, I always say this and I'll always end off with this. Thank you. I can't even express how blessed I am to have you. Jamie never reads my personal notes. No, you don't. You don't read have you read my personal note today? What was it about?
It was a very thoughtful and very positive.
Such a liar.
note.
See what I mean? I don't even remember what it was about. I'm just kidding. Anyways, yeah. So I'm signing off now. Remember, hit the bell notification, subscribe. We're on Spotify, which is exciting. So check us out. Even though I think rates it was Netflix. My husband keeps saying Netflix rates went up.
Spotify is free, so don't worry.
Spotify is free, so you're set. Anyways, but yeah, so if you have any comments, questions, whatever you want to ask, you're more than welcome. You can DM me as well. I've had a lot of people DM me. More than welcome to DM me. But for now, thank you so much for listening and have an awesome day. Turn off your phone. I'm kidding.
No disturb.
If you put your phone there, the light's gonna go off and it's gonna distract you. That's what you told me. All right.